Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of GIIS Parent Ambassador webinar series, the one place where students like us are guided by parents like you to make the right decisions in life. I'm your host, Ayan Kanga. For those who are unfamiliar with the series, I want to give a quick overview of what we want to achieve through this engagement. Parents, we believe, are an important part of school life of a student, as much as teachers and other faculty members. While teachers change from time to time, parents are a constant source of knowledge, encouragement, and support. And we want to make the best of this resource to give our student community as much learning outcome as possible. Today, to help us in this journey, I'm proud to welcome a parent who has been with the school for nearly 2 decades of its existence. Her two children have been part of the GIIS family right from kindergarten and have continued their journey up till graduation. She herself is not just a perfect mother and parent to her children, but has been a successful career woman with a long journey in the IT industry. Later, even when her active career took a backseat due to demands of family life, she has continued to follow her passion and contribute to the society as a published author. In her own right, this parent has been an all-round personality who has given the best of herself to her family, the society, and now to the school. Please allow me to welcome Ms. Nirmala Shanker, a former employee in the IT industry, an accomplished writer, and a full-time mother. Welcome, Ms. Shankar.
Thank you very much. Respected Melissa ma'am, Ms. Seema Kaushik, Ms. Rupali Karekar, and Ayan, dear students and parents, thank you very much for having me here this evening. I'm truly honored.
We also have with us GIIS Career Counselor, Ms. Seema Kaushik, as a panelist at this webinar. Ms. Kaushik has experience in career counseling of students and has helped many students write their applications for universities of their choice.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, nice to have you, Nirmala. Thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure. Thank you.
This webinar will commence with Ms. Shankar making a short presentation. This will be followed by a Q&A session with her. Audience members who have any questions can post them in the Q&A section of the Zoom webinar. We will try to answer as many questions as possible on it. We also have with us GIIS Smart Campus Principal, Ms. Melissa Maria. I invite Ms. Melissa to welcome our guest and hand over the proceedings to her. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ayan, and welcome to all our guests on this webinar today. It's indeed a proud privilege for me to especially welcome Ms. Nirmala. I have known her for the last, I think, 13 years as being one of our very, very enthusiastic parents. I've had her children at Balestier campus and then connected with her when her kids were at Queenstown. And of course, then they moved to the Smart campus. So Nirmala has always been in and out of Balestier campus, giving so much of her time and giving so much, not only to the students, but interacting with our faculty. The purpose of this webinar is to leverage on parent strengths and parent potentials. And like Ayan said, this is our second one. We had the first one where we had Mr. Chandra,
Mr. Venkat. Mr. Venkat, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Venkat, who shared his expertise. And today to Nirmala, we are looking forward, Nirmala, to hear you share with the children. I'm sure they are going to benefit a lot. And we love your connection with the school and look forward for you to continue the same. To all our listeners, I am sure you're going to gain a lot from Nirmala's sharing today. So have a wonderful session. Over to you, Ayan and Nirmala.
It's your presentation, ma'am.
Thank you, Ayan. Thank you, Melissa ma'am, for those kind words. The feeling is mutual. And I'll just quickly share my screen for the presentation. So good evening, everybody. And thank you, Ayan, for that lovely introduction. I'm honored to be here this evening as part of the GIIS Parent Ambassador webinar series. I'm here to share my thoughts and learnings with you all about the importance of the activities that one pursues in childhood and how these activities can help shape who you are or who you want to be. I would then touch upon a little bit about my career in IT and what I learned there, and then how I transitioned from being an IT professional to a full-time writer, going back to pursue one of my childhood passions, which is writing. Back in my childhood, I very actively participated in a wide range of co-curricular and extracurricular activities that range from elocution, debate, essay writing, music, dance, spelling bee, quizzing, and also taking up a lot of leadership roles. And our school had a very strong inter-house competition platform where we had competitions almost every week. So along with the rigors of academics, I was constantly engaged in writing content, creating content, and delivering content, or working on group projects with my friends. And in those days, we didn't have computers. So we had a lot of one-sided sheets at home or scribbling pads where, I would write down quotable quotes of leaders, speeches for, master of ceremony speeches, articles for the school magazine, and so on and so forth. So whenever I had to deliver a speech or, participate in a debate, I would stand for hours before the mirror, perfecting my voice modulation, my expression, my body stance, how I was gesturing. So all those things. And this taught me an invaluable lesson that you cannot practice enough. So I would say to you all, practice, practice, keep practicing. I would now like to share a very interesting story that I chanced upon recently. At the University of Florida, a professor named James Alsman taught a photography class. And at the beginning of one term, he divided his class into two groups, Group A and Group B. Group A was labeled the quantity team and Group B was labeled the quality team. So students in the quantity team of Group A were told that they would be evaluated at the end of the term based on the number of photographs that they would produce. So if they produced 100 photographs, they would get a grade A, 90 photographs, grade B, and so on. On the other hand, students in Group B were told that they would be evaluated based on just one photograph that they had to submit. But this photograph had to be of excellent quality. So at the end of the team, at the end of the term, the professor was surprised to find that all the best photographs came from the quantity team and not from the quality team. On looking closely, he found that this was because students in Group A had taken the time to take many photographs, experiment with lighting, experiment with camera settings, trying out new things in the dark room, and learning from their mistakes. On the other hand, students from Team B, being obsessed with the idea of perfection, they had very little to show except some mediocre photographs and unverified theories. So what I would like to share with you all through this story is that whenever you pursue an activity, the next thing I would like to talk to you all about is whenever opportunities come your way, do grab them. Because you will never know unless you stand before a huge audience or stand before a panel of judges, muster your courage, marshal your thoughts, and deliver a winning performance. You will never learn these things unless you try. And that's one of the most wonderful aspects of the 9 Gems framework at GIIS. Because I believe that it truly embodies the spirit of holistic development in children by presenting them with great opportunities across multiple categories. So every child, I believe, has some unique talent, and having a framework like the 9 Gems model helps the child choose an activity that he or she likes and nurture it for life. The next thing I want to talk to you all about is success and failure. In my childhood, I failed as many times as I succeeded. But as my dad would often say, get up, dress up, and show up to the next event or the next competition. Because success and failure are both integral parts of the self-development process. So in addition to these valuable lessons, I also learned about the importance of time management, discipline, communication, and teamwork. And by the time I had reached grade 12, I had identified 2 passions that I pursue to this very day. One is my classical music, and the other is writing. So I started learning music at the age of 7. Now, nearly 4 decades later, I have music class every Tuesday morning at 9:30, and I practice a lot during the week. So also with my writing, all the writing that I did in my school, in my college, in my career, all that I think has helped me transition into the writer that I am today. So what I would like to tell you all is, I'm sure you're all attending different classes and learning new skills. So I would say pick up a couple of them that you're really passionate about, activities that make you forget who you are, and then truly nurture these skills and hone them for life. This brings me to the next phase of my life, which is my career in IT. So when I started my career in IT, terms like multimedia and graphics were buzzwords. And mobile phones were huge clunky devices where incoming calls used to be charged. But those were really exciting times because new technologies were emerging almost, constantly, and there was a lot of learning to be had. So when I started in IT, I started in multimedia, graphics, and animation. And I straddled roles in business development, marketing communications, and corporate communications. And through these roles, I learned about both the business and the technical aspects of content creation and content production. And in these roles, I also spent a lot of time writing product literature, marketing material, business plans, and proposals for customers. I was also the editor of our company's in-house newsletter for a brief period. From here, I moved to the television industry, where I worked on content acquisition, content programming, and learned a lot about content delivery. So media companies at that time had all their content sitting on tapes. And the new buzzword at that time was digital media and digitization. So that was my next stop. I moved to digital media consulting, where I worked on offering digital asset management solutions to media and entertainment companies. I would like to take a few minutes to tell you all a little bit about digital asset management. So as I told you, in those days, media companies largely had all their content sitting on physical tapes, and these tapes occupied a lot of space, and they were vulnerable to fungal and mold infections and deterioration with age. So let me give you an example. Let's say I was a sports entertainment media company which had thousands and thousands of hours on cricket content in their archives. And now, if I had to produce a program on Kapil Dev, what would I have to do? I would have to find out all the tapes that had content on Kapil Dev, pick those tapes, play them sequentially, identify the time codes where Kapil Dev appears, re-record those on other tapes, and then send it to the production team or the editing team for processing. This is laborious and time-consuming, but this was how it was all done traditionally. All this changed when digital asset management happened. So all the content on these tapes were converted into digital files. The next step was to make these digital files accessible and searchable. So for that, detailed information was added about every media file. For example, it's not only about the duration of the file or the format of the file or the size of the file. It was about the content within the file. For example, if it's cricket, it would be like which match it was, where it was played, who were the players, what was the strike rate, what was the run rate, who was the man of the match. All kinds of details that you could possibly add about the content in that file were all added. And this detailed information is called metadata. And the moment metadata was added to digital content, it became a digital asset. And why I call it an asset is because companies could produce new programs very quickly and could monetize this content across different delivery platforms. So now, if a company had all the files digitized and they had to produce a program on Virat Kohli and talk about all the sixers he has hit in various matches, all they would have to do is to go into the asset management system and search for Virat Kohli and sixers, and all the content, thumbnails would appear on the system, and the person could look at it and then send it to the production team and the editing team for quick processing. So the process became very, very easy. So from all these experiences, I learned two key things. One is that content is king, and that digital content is truly very valuable. So this brings me to the next part of my journey, which is the writing journey. So my journey in writing started with a blog titled Simple Moments of Life about 6 years ago. And in this blog, I capture my observations of the everyday happenings in our lives, because I believe that these incidents are what make up the mosaic of our lives. So, and I believe that these 6 years of writing have truly helped me hone my writing skills. So midway through this journey, I was inspired to self-publish my first book of short stories for children titled The Tin Cat and Other Stories for Children, which is available as an Amazon ebook. I also write articles for magazines, many of which have been published. And earlier this year, I self-published my second book of short stories for adults named Simple Sojourns, which is available both as an ebook and in paperback formats. So I would like to take you back in time to the late 90s when I was still in the IT industry, and I used to work in London. And at that time, whenever I used to travel on the London Underground, I would find a lot of people reading Harry Potter books. And I used to be very excited because, as we all know, J.K. Rowling was publishing one fantastic book after the other, and so many movies were also coming out. And being a digital media professional, I was really excited to see how this content, written content, became such a huge movie franchise and, took us into journeys of merchandising, theme parks. And today the franchise is valued at over, 25 billion US dollars. But now, as a writer, I study J.K. Rowling's writing journey, and I learned that she has been rejected over 12 times by publishers when she tried to submit her Harry Potter book. But then her books went on to sell 500 million copies, and she is the first billionaire author. So both these things brought home to me the fact that my passion for writing converges beautifully with my knowledge about digital media and content delivery. So what I would like to tell you all is truly anything is possible if you just get started and you pursue it with passion and dedication. So on this writing journey, there are a few things that I have learned, which I would now like to share with you. The first thing is identify your writing routine. So I would say write every day. But when I say identify your writing routine, it means, find the time of day where you can sit calmly, think, and, write peacefully without any interruptions. The author Haruki Murakami, when he's writing a book, he has a fixed routine. He wakes up at 4 in the morning, writes for 6 hours till about 10 o'clock, and then later in the day, he goes for a 10-kilometer jog or a swim, comes back, has a light dinner, and goes to bed early, and the routine starts all over again the next day till he finishes the book. On the other hand, another famous writer, author, Ruskin Bond, he believes in writing at least one paragraph or one poem every single day. So identify your writing routine, identify what works for you. The next thing is do your research. So if you know which genre you're going to be writing in, do your research of that category. Who are the authors? What kind of books they've written? What kind of response that these books have garnered from the audience? Do your homework before you start writing. Third, develop your own style of writing. Write from your heart, write from your experiences, write from all your passions, and have your own style. So as a writer, it's very important. The most important thing I would say in being a writer is to be able to connect with your audience. And to connect with your audience, I think you should write with a lot of clarity. So have a lot of clarity when you write. The next thing is look for various opportunities to write, paid opportunities, unpaid opportunities. There are many, many literary competitions, poetry competitions, fiction, short story competitions available on the internet. Research these, find ones that you think you would like to participate in, submit your entries and see where that takes you. The next point I would like to say is, network with like-minded individuals in the field. So this could be other budding writers, it could be book reviewers, it could be voracious readers. Talk to them, take feedback about your work, be ready to be criticized and rejected. Come back, write, edit, and repeat. So it's an iterative process. There are no shortcuts. So you just have to keep, editing and improvising. The next thing is read, read, read. Be a voracious reader, read all kinds of books, read all kinds of authors, all kinds of genres, because I think it really, really improves your writing skills. The last but not least, a very important point, be connected and ready. So what I mean by this is when you are writing your book and when you take a break, spend the time usefully on creating a website for yourself as an author. or have all your social media accounts as an author up and running. Create some buzz about your your new books, talk to people, get a follower base, keep interacting with them and talking about your book, so that when your book actually goes live, you're ready and connected to leverage all these platforms to promote your book. So now that I've shared some of my tips on writing, I would like to take you through the self-publishing process. So there are many self-publishing platforms available online, but I chose the Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing platform to self-publish my books. So it's a very simple and straightforward process. So the first thing is you would have to set up your account and enter all your personal details and your bank details. And then if your book, assuming your book is ready, you have to format your book. So you have to decide whether you want to publish an ebook or you want to publish a paperback. So format your book. The guidelines are different, but there's a lot of help available on the website. So you can format your book. And then this brings me to the most important part of the self-publishing process, which is fill in your book details. So the book details are what visitors will see when they click the link to your book. It'll have your synopsis, author details. So try to make it as interesting as possible to woo readers. The second part of the book detail process is what I call what is the keywords and the categories that your book belongs to. This is the most important part of the process. Your keywords is the metadata, which I told you about, which we spoke about earlier. So this metadata, try to make it as representative of the book as possible, because this will definitely help in increasing readership and bring visibility to your book. Also choose your book's categories or your genres very carefully. You're allowed to choose up to 2 or 3 categories. So be sure that you spend a lot of time thinking about which category your book belongs in and then choose it. So then next step is you upload the manuscript, then you decide the book's price and royalties, and then you publish and the book goes live within 48 hours. And the big plus of self-publishing is you can make changes to your book at any time. And you can publish both as an ebook and as a paperback. You can publish both together, or you can publish it sequentially. If you want to check out the proof of a paperback, Amazon will actually send you a physical proof of the book. They'll mail it to your home, and you can look at it and then check if everything is okay and then publish it. And then the next important step starts: how you promote your book. So in self-publishing, a lot of burden of promotion rests with the author. So you have to do a lot of self-promotion. And as I told you before, if you've already got all your social media, social media accounts up and running, and you've already created a buzz about the book, it'll be very easy when your book goes live to start promoting the book. You can take snippets, you can take dialogues from different parts of the book, make nice flyers and promote them. You can conduct quizzes on your social media pages. You can do so much to promote your book, but don't stop promoting and don't stop talking about your book. And last but not the least, there's a beautiful dashboard on Kindle where you can see the sales of your book, how much royalty you have earned, which markets your book is selling in, and all other details you can view on the dashboard. And so that pretty much sums up the self-publishing process. So having said all this, I would say that a writer's career is not only about writing books of fiction or novels. There are many career paths available to a writer to choose from. So here I've listed a few of those: nonfiction writer, blogger, comic book writer, web content creator. You can be a lyricist, script writer, you can be a social media manager, speech writer, journalist. There are many other options as well. So if you want to do freelance writing, what I would recommend is research all these categories and pick a couple of them that you think match what you like to do and what you like to write about, and then pursue those and hone those skills. So just to sum up whatever I've told you thus far: identify your passion, keep practicing, and strive for perfection. Your passion can go together with your career as a great stress buster, or later on it can become a full-time career option too. Success and failure are an integral part of the self-development process. Always get up, dress up, and show up, no matter what. If you want to write, pursue writing, write every day, write from your heart, don't give up. Be connected and ready to grab every opportunity that comes your way. Thank you all very much. That brings me to the end of the presentation. Thank you for having me here this evening.
That was a wonderful and insightful presentation, Ms. Shankar. That was a very prolific career journey and had great tips for budding writers. Truly inspiring. You also shared some wonderful stories and great personal experiences, which I'm sure our audience enjoyed much as I did. Some of the points you made, like get up, dress up, and show up, is something all of us should imbibe. I personally believe it is the right attitude to have. More importantly, your tips and skills were spot on. I have a lot of questions based on these points alone. Let me start with some basic thoughts I have. Was the career you had the career you always wanted to pursue? Because IT and writing are two different fields, and yet you managed to bridge the gap. And also, who were your mentors along the way who influenced your life?
Right. So when I was at college, I always knew I wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to work in the IT industry. And I also knew that I didn't want to get into too technical a role of being in hardware or being into software programming. So, and I knew I had good communication skills. So all the initial jobs that I applied to, I applied in the roles for business development. So in my first job, during the training period, I was asked to write a statement of capabilities on the company's multimedia capabilities. So being my first assignment and being new to the industry, I went all out and bought books and learned as much as I could, and I produced the write-up, which was well received. And from there, when we were all assigned to different teams, to different business units after our training, I was automatically assigned to the multimedia team. So that's how I got into multimedia. But after that, every choice I made was because I was very passionate about what I was doing, from multimedia to the television industry and from there to digital media consulting. So when I moved to Singapore, so I did not want to work full time because I had two young kids at the time. So I was not looking at full time work, and I was looking at all my childhood passions, and writing was like the default choice. And what triggered this actual writing process was a train journey that I took from Delhi to Bangalore on the Rajdhani Express. So we were sitting in the train and I was looking outside and I was completely mesmerized by the frenetic pace of things unfolding outside the train, and villages and towns and animals, all these things were flitting past. And I grew very excited and I wanted to write an article about it. So when I came back to Singapore, I wrote an article and I posted it on my Facebook page. And a lot of people liked what I wrote, and they told me that they could relate and connect to what I had written. I wrote a few more articles, and then one of my friends suggested that I should seriously think about writing a blog. And that's how Simple Moments of Life was born. So that's a summary of how it happened.
That's interesting. I guess passion is important when it comes to whichever career one chooses.
Absolutely.
You've spoken about the ECA and CCA activities in your school, as well as in GIS under the 9 GEMS program. Mm-hmm. It's obvious you think that these two aspects are an important part of a student's learning experience. Would you say they're more important than academics? For example, one will forget algorithms of algebra and geometry later in life, but they will never forget musical chords or chess moves once they learn them.
I completely agree, but I would say that academics and ECA and CCA are equally important. Both are needed for the holistic development of a student. And if you look at ECA and CCA, see, academics is the pursuit of knowledge. It's about the core and foundational knowledge that will help you, choose your career. On the other hand, I think ECA and CCAs are give you all the other life skills that you need to become a well-rounded individual. And if you look at ECA and CCAs, I think they teach you a lot of new skills that enrich your life. They teach you important skills like problem solving, critical thinking, and I think they broaden your social skills and improve your self-esteem and self-confidence in children. They also, I think, teach you values like time management and discipline. I would like to give a small example. A few years ago, I read the biography of Rafael Nadal, the tennis player. So he said that whenever he won a Grand Slam, okay, so they would celebrate only that one evening. That win was celebrated only that one evening. The next morning, the trophy would go back, to where it belonged, and he would be at the courts at the right time practicing. So these kind of values or this kind of discipline, I think all these are deeply ingrained from childhood, and I think all these come from these kind of extra activities that we pursue. The other thing is, I think today universities also look for well-rounded individuals who are good in academics and who are also show a plethora of activities that they have taken up, show their interest in community service or giving back to society, the environment, and show perseverance and dedication in whichever activities they have taken up. So I would say definitely that academics and EC and CC activities are equally important.
What would be your advice to parents who would insist on giving more importance to academic grades over ECA or CCA upskilling?
Okay, so I would say definitely again that both are equally important. I sincerely believe that the rigors of academics only start in high school. So I would say in your primary years, expose your children to as many activities as you can. Give them the opportunity to try out and learn new things, sports, musical instruments, coding, public speaking, whatever it is, give them exposure to different kinds of activities so that by the time they come to high school, they have acquired a lot of life skills and soft skills and problem solving skills. And when they come to high school and when the rigors of academics take over, then you can give your child the option, to pick any 2 activities or 3 activities that would, that they can pick up, nurture, and hone for life. So this is what I would say to parents.
Yeah. Okay. Before we move ahead, I would encourage the audience members to post your questions in the Q&A section of the Zoom room. We'll answer as many questions as possible on air given the time. Ms. Shankar, you've had an exciting career with animation, media, content, from the time of video cassettes to the growth of digital media. Was it difficult to switch from one system to the other? How did you manage to make the transition when you were not really trained in the new media?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last part of the question, Aya?
How did you manage to make the transition when you were not really trained in the new media?
You're talking about the writing part?
No, it's about your IT career.
Oh, okay. In my IT career, so when I started, as I told you, I was in multimedia, graphics, and animation. And the first stop for me was to learn as much about the technology as I could. And I was given a training by the company to go through a 3-month intensive multimedia program, technical, both on the technical aspects and on the business aspects. So it was a 3-month residential program where I stayed, within the organization and learned, all the 3D software, 2D animation software, the whole process of pre-production, production, post-production, a little bit of editing, and also about how to write scripts, and also about the marketing process, where how to take content to various television markets like MIPCOM and MIPTV. We used to, our company used to produce animation films. So I have attended many of these industry exhibitions and fairs like, SIGGRAPH, the Berlin Film Festival. So all these, I learned on the job, and the company also, invested a lot of time in training me, and I'm very grateful for that because that was what enhanced my knowledge.
I guess it's very important for the employer to also invest in its employees.
Absolutely.
I myself have not zeroed in what exactly I want to do in life. I neither have many of my friends. Many students choose fields right now out of pressure and urgency to decide. What happens if these choices go wrong? do we still have time to make a change?
I hear you, and I completely agree that it is a daunting process to make that final choice. And all and even adults have these challenges, where sometimes we don't know what's the right step or what is the right next step. So what I would tell you is definitely you can change your mind. Definitely changes are possible, and I would say that if you want to change your course, midway, I would say there are many opportunities available today which you can leverage, which you can pick up. There may be some compromises you may have to make along the way, but definitely yes, I think it's possible. And I think organizations today are also encouraging and recruiting people from diverse backgrounds, and because they want new ideas, they want to infuse new ideas into their organization. So there are many opportunities, and I think what will hold you in good stead is your solid academic background and all the life skills you have acquired from your various activities, because I think all these values will help you transition and make that change if you decide to do it.
Ms. Shankar, you love to write and are a published writer. You were lucky enough to find a job which enhanced your creativity. I'm a sportsman. I love outdoor activities. I love open air and wide grounds. I love to run and play. Many others like me have different hobbies. Not everyone can be lucky enough to find a career which is a bridge between their passion and their degree. Can you guide us to what we can do to have that clarity of mind and purpose to be able to reach a place of personal satisfaction where you have reached?
Oh, this is a really beautiful question, Ayan. And I would like to share a concept which I've learned, which actually helped me make that switch to writing. And this is a Japanese concept which you may have already heard of. It's called Ikigai. And I would like to tell you a little bit about this concept because I think it may help you arrive at that give you that clarity of mind and give you that that purpose. So Ikigai loosely translates to your reason for being, and it helps you identify your life's purpose. It's a Japanese concept, and if you look at Ikigai as a pictorial representation, it has it's represented as a Venn diagram, and there are four intersecting circles. So each of these four circles makes you answer one question. So the first one is, what do I love? The second question is, what am I good at? The third question is, does the world need this skill? And the fourth question is, will I be paid and will I be able to lead a comfortable life with this? So Ikigai says that at the intersection of all these four, the confluence rather of all these four circles lies your reason for being. So what you love to do, are you good at it? Does the world need it? And will you get paid for it? So if you also look at the individual components now, if you take what I love to do and what am I good at, that would be your passion. Okay, and then if you look at what I'm good at and will I be paid for it, that is your profession. And if you look at what I love and what the world needs, that is a mission. And if I look at what the world needs and will I be paid for it, that's your vocation. So some of us are in the profession stage, some of us are in the passion stage, some of us are on the mission, and some of us are doing a vocation. So at the confluence of all these answers to these four questions actually lies the reason for being. So before I took up writing, I actually answered these questions, and it helped me get that clarity that yes, I would like to pursue writing full time. And the second part of your question about personal satisfaction, I would say to me, personal satisfaction is all about doing the task at hand to the best of my ability. If I've given something my all, I think that to me represents personal satisfaction, because I think that the results are not in our hands. The effort is in our hands. So I would focus on that. And that to me is the definition of personal satisfaction.
That was great. I'll take it into consideration. I now invite Ms. Seema to ask any questions, if any.
Thank you so much, Nirmala. I think your presentation was very, very inspirational, and you had shared some wonderful tips for our budding writers, and especially the Ikigai concept beautifully explained. And I think, that was the best part, how students can identify their passion and how they can actually look at it in the sense of whether this will be paid and whether this is something the world needs. I mean, that was excellent. So there are a few questions I also have, and thank you so much for, let me tell you, Ms. Nirmala also has been kind of helping me in reading the essays of students for those who are applying to universities. I have taken her help in the past, and she's one of the parent volunteer for that. Thank you so much, Nirmala. I highly appreciate your guidance for our students. So this question is related to like when students are applying to US universities and UK universities, they do need to write essays and personal statement. So though students would not want to be a writer, but they would have to write at some stage. When they are writing their application, they'll have to write essays. And so I want to know how they can, some of the students really struggle, and they want to know how they can improve their writing skills and how they can, get through this application process by writing this number of essays by the universities. So any tips you have for them?
Yes, just a few tips, I think, Seema, which, I think would help any kid who's trying to write something. The first thing I would say is start early. The moment the deadline is open, application opens, I think you should start putting your thoughts together. So these days everybody has a phone, so whenever inspiration strikes, please write down whatever points you think you could include in the essay. First, be mindful of the word count. Word limit, I think, is very, very important. Many the students I've helped, many of them struggle with sticking to the word limit. So be mindful of the word limit. So try at the beginning only to try and marshal your thoughts to try and fit it into the word limit. Be very aware of your grammar, punctuation, and typos. Give it to other people to eyeball, because I think sometimes by repeatedly reading the same essay, you cannot make out or pinpoint the errors. And the next thing I would say is don't put more than one thought in a sentence. So keep the sentence simple and have one or maximum two thoughts, maybe an allied thought in each sentence. Third thing is, I would say avoid throat clearing, don't do that in an essay. What I mean is, the essay, every sentence in the essay has to talk about who you are. So avoid wasting time on giving some generic sentences, like before you would start a speech, things that you would say. Avoid all that. Dive right in, keep it crisp, keep it simple, keep it direct. And two things which have really helped me even when I write is read aloud what you're writing. So after you've written your essay, you read it and you record it on your mobile. Play it back, because at that time you will be at the reader's end, and then you will get a clear idea of what the reader will experience, and definitely it helps in improving the quality of your essay. The other thing that I find that many students struggle with is writing that formal language of the essay. So what I would say to such students is, suppose if I asked you, hey, what is it that you want to do in your in this college, or how would you answer this prompt? How would I talk? I want to, go to this college because, it has great research labs. It has, a wonderful sports program. So if I say these things, just as I speak them, I have to write them down first. So I would write them down just as I speak. And then once I've got all my points in, then I will work on refining the essay and fine tuning the essay. Then I would say be true to who you are, be authentic. Don't be afraid to show your personal side and your emotions. And always, wherever possible, if there is a prompt that can use, where you can write about things that you care about and you're passionate about, please do write them, because definitely it will show through the essay. And, the admissions officer will definitely be able to, feel that passion that you've written about. So these, I think, would be some of my tips, Seema.
Yes, perfect. Yes, be authentic, be yourself, and you don't have to make up anything. So I think, yeah, those were some excellent tips. I would also like to take some questions from the audience. So there is a question from one of the parent that my daughter is in 8th grade and she likes to write poems, and she has written already 5 of them. How can I encourage her to continue this?
So I would say if she's already writing, to start a blog, because and have a regular blog schedule. So it's this concept of throwing your hat over the fence. So many bloggers do that when they start their blog, they declare that they will post every Monday and Thursday. So you've already committed, you've thrown your hat over the fence, so you will have to honor that. So the only way to get better at writing is to keep writing. So I would say keep writing and maybe start a blog. I would be very happy to guide the student on how to start a blog. And once you start a blog, start posting your existing poems, the ones that you've already written, post them, and get engaged. Go and follow other blogs, poetry blogs, so you can keep writing, keep posting regularly. And once you reach a critical mass or a number of blogs, and then maybe you should seriously think about publishing, self-publishing.
Okay, that's great. And there's one more question on when you were publishing your book, what were some of the problems you faced? And for example, any resistance from publication companies, but you self-published, right? So what during the process, like when you were publishing, what practical problems do you think you faced, and you would like to kind of share?
Oh, the first thing is, I think when I published my first book, I didn't know anything at all about self-publishing. So somebody told me that, there is a platform on Amazon Kindle to self-publish. So I just on a whim, I decided to, write and publish. So I didn't know too much at that time. So from that time, so that was a big challenge because I didn't know how to promote my book. What I know today, I didn't know at that time because I was, just starting off. But I just went ahead and published the book. But from then to now, these last 3 years, really my learning has, increased by leaps and bounds. And so that was definitely a challenge because I did not know, and there was no one to guide me on, the self-publishing process. So I learned a lot, and I think I'm, the wiser for it now.
Yes, a lot of trial and error goes in the first time when you do things. So good experience. There is one more question from the parent that your journey was very, very inspirational and good luck for your future. My question is how to motivate young children to academic education with ECA and CCA. So they are too young to take academics very seriously, as ECA and CCA are natural favorites. So they are still doing it. But yeah, I mean, she wants to know that how can she motivate children to give attention to both, like academics and ECA, CCA?
I think, with all the, homework and assignments that they get from school, and I think in the primary years, they can, I think they can manage with that. And kids are very smart and very sharp, and they are natural learners. So I'm sure they're absorbing whatever is taught in school, and there's a lot of revision happening. So I wouldn't stress too much about that. I think definitely academics, you start giving importance in senior school. While I'm not diluting the importance of academics at all, even for a moment, I think kids will be able to balance both. And I think the skills that you learn in ECA, CCA, if they're showing interest in multivarious activities, I would say encourage them because they are learning life lessons, life skills, which you cannot learn with academics. So I'm sure the kids will, learn to balance both as they grow older.
Very, very true. And nowadays, universities, they also would like to see students who are all-rounders and not just like academics. They want to see students who are interested in various different things, and they have different activities which they are interested in. So that brings more skills to their university.
True.
Ayan, would you like to?
Yeah, I'll take it from here. Yeah. That's all we have time for today. Thank you, audience members, for all your questions. That was one of the most wonderful webinars I have attended, and a great heart-to-heart talk with a parent with a different career path. I'm sure many of you have taken a lot from this chat and will implement these learnings in your life. I want to thank Ms. Shankar for taking the time to help and guide students in this journey towards adulthood and navigation through the innumerable career opportunities we will be facing. Thank you to the teachers and coordinators who helped us conduct this webinar. We will hold more such webinars in the future with many more parents who have numerous stories to share and successes to talk about in different fields. Stay tuned for our email on my GIIS. Until next time, this is Ayan Konga signing off. Have a great evening, everyone.